Good morning. How are you? Hi.
Quick question. Oh, no class. No, okay. This is different from the next year. Is 1, 2, 3, 4?
On the DP
Is-
chapter? Okay.
You are not, you are DP?
I'm DP, yeah.
Okay, maybe I.
Hello. Mario's not connecting very easily. That's not good. Good morning, Easton. How are you?
Good.
Good. Your group's grades are in because you'd presented. So just so you know, Easton. I'm putting them in after the groups present. So. Good morning. Mario, we do have one, but I want to do our presentations first, okay? Because we have two groups that haven't gone. If that makes sense. Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for being on time. Let's go ahead and turn our cameras on, please, so that I can see you, so that I can officially count you as present. So I see Brantavion and Zion, Mario, Ashley, Alejandro, Vincent, Amaris, Torin, Peyton, Easton. Thank you very much. So the first thing we're going to do today, we're going to wait just a couple more minutes, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have the other two groups that haven't gone yet present, okay? And then once they have finished, we're going to start on Japanese theater, which I know a lot of you guys were kind of excited about. If we don't finish it today, and it's possible that we won't, then we will just have to continue it next time. I have some sort of padding for us in case we get behind. So we will, if we have to, we will juggle things around. So just be a little patient with me. It may also mean that I have to go into Schoology and change some things about like when things are due, because like let's say we don't get to the exit ticket today, right? For Japanese theater, well, then I've got to change it. Okay. So just be aware of that. And don't panic if you see something that says that it's due and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like it might just be that it has to be changed still. Okay. All right. We'll wait one more minute and see, because we do have a few people who are usually here that we still don't have with us yet. I do really want to encourage you guys to try to get logged in on time. I know it can be difficult because sometimes Zoom just like makes you sit in the waiting screen forever and ever and ever. Yes, once I see you, then you can turn your cameras off again if it helps with your audio, okay? So I just have to be able to see you so that I can say that you were definitely there. So we have two groups that are going to deliver their presentations for us today. So we've got Plautus and Terrence. We'll do the same thing before where I will share the slides and you can decide whoever like did the slide can be responsible for reading it maybe. Does that seem to work pretty well? So let me get those PowerPoints really quick. There's one. And Ashley sent me hers. And then, by the way, the group that went last time, so the group about Seneca, your grades are in, so you can check those. You guys did a good job. There we go. All right, so let's do Plautus first. Does that work for you guys? Okay. So we'll do Plautus first. I'm going to bring the slides up. Okay, all right. So you guys can take it away and I will try to only interrupt if I want to sort of add on to anything that you've got here.
Okay, so the timeline of Plautus is we're going to start with his early life. There is a little note that I want to mention. Some of his life was not like recorded since it was like back then. So I just got most information that I could. He was born around 254 BC in Italy. This was based on writers. They say he was born in a town in Italy. The literacy and dramatic skills make play significant in his history of Western literature and drama, which means he learned many skills that were important in the Western literature and drama. Plautus was in the theater as a young age. He was really interested in theater since he was a little kid. He was really passionate about it, and he also earned money doing it.
Okay, all right. So let's, oops, sorry. There we go. Next slide.
Lost profit from early life due to unsuccessful business. Trading went wrong and all money collected was gone. He returned to Rome without any money, had to return to get money. Yeah. He worked in a flour mill because he lost all of his money. He earned some of his money by being a stagehand, a carpenter, a playwright, and an actor. And he managed to learn knowledge of Greek and Latin in his drama plays.
Okay. Let's go to the next one.
His drama life. Parts of his plots are written by plays from Greek authors in the late 4th century and early 3rd century. So basically, he took parts of other people's plays and made it into his own. He added Roman concepts, terms, and uses of allusions. In the 205 BCE through 184, he writes his Roman comedy plays. 200 BCE, he comedy play studies is first performed. 191 comedy plays, but how do you pronounce the name? I'm not sure how to pronounce the name.
Pseudolus, like pseudonym, right? Has PS. Yep.
Is first performed, and he died in 184 BCE.
Okay.
His plays. During Plautus's times, he wrote 20 plays in total. During Plautus's early times, he wrote 4 plays, which were Sistellera, Miles Gloriosus, Stychus, and Pseudolus being his earliest playwrights. Plautus then wrote 5 more other plays being, I don't know how to pronounce those. His works were examples of the 4th century BCE Greek New Comedy. The early Greek plays already had stock and characters, and Plautus expanded the roles of characters. Many of the playwrights were set in a world which were reversed from the norm.
Okay. One thing that I want to point out, because I'm seeing this from a lot of people, I want you to be clear when we're talking about playwright, that's the person. Okay. So playwright is the person. The playwright is Plautus. The text is the play. Does that make sense? And this is for everybody because I'm seeing this in multiple presentations. So playwright is the name of whoever is writing the play, and the text they create is a play. Okay? All right, good.
Story of a man kidnapping another's man woman. The man is tricked into giving her up for bloodshed. And I can't really see that.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with this slide is that there's a lot of text, right? So one of the things that is a good idea to do, you've got 4 bullet points. Maybe each of those could have been their own slide, right? Because the audience of a presentation isn't going to be able to write all this down. And they're either going to be reading this or they're going to be listening to you. Okay. Okay. So we'll move on. So we did 2 synopsises. Is that what we did? We did Miles Gloriosus and Cassina.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So we'll move to the next one.
So the story of Cassina. Cassina was a servant for Lacedaemon and his wife Cleostrata, and basically she was really beautiful for the time. So a conflict arises where they fight for the control of Cassina because Lacedaemon wants her to marry his servant Olympio. So basically he can get with Cassina because it's his servant's wife, so he's allowed to do that for the time. So they decide to draw straws to solve the issue. So they call Olympio as a witness, but the 2 servants, Cassina and Olympio, don't really get along with each other, so they harass and mock each other. At one point, they started hitting each other, saying that their master ordered them to do it, so it's not their fault. So both sides don't really trust each other, so they try to make sure that the other side isn't cheating. They would accuse each other of using a different type of wood that would float, or having extra sticks in the drawing cup. And then eventually they throw in the straws into the cauldron, and Cleostrata would draw the straws. With Lacedaemon, he picked number 1 and Cleostrata picked number 2. And when they draw, it's Lacedaemon who wins, meaning that Cassina will marry the servant Olympio. And they go celebrate with Cassina having to go prepare for the wedding. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, yeah. One of the things, this idea of the straws was pretty important in ancient Greek plays. Like do you remember when we talked about how the playwrights would have like a competition? So part of that competition, the gods would get a vote, and the vote would basically sort of be like drawing straws. Like if there was like a tie, or if there was ever like, which play is really the best, they would like let the gods decide by a method sort of similar to this. So that's sort of where this comes from. Okay. And poor Casina doesn't get a vote, right? It's just what's going to happen to her. All right. And then we have the bibliography, right? Which I'm always very happy to see. Okay. Okay. Just a couple of notes for you guys, right? We did a good job at covering material. I already talked about, this slide in particular. There are a few things on here, and this goes for multiple groups. We've got some spelling issues, right? So I would encourage you to spell check all of anything that you're going to turn in, okay? And when you are going to deliver a presentation, you do need to do some work looking up how you're going to pronounce things, right? So there's a good website for that, and I'm going to show it to you. It's called Forvo. So you can look up a word and ask Forvo to tell you how it's pronounced, okay? So let me see if it can tell us. I'm just gonna pick Pseudolus. And you can say what kind of pronunciation you want, right? So this one isn't actually in here, okay? But it's a good place to start, especially if you're looking for not like proper names, but just to give you like a research tool to use in the future, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and move to Terrence.
Publicius, Terrence's, he was born in Carthage, Tunisia, and his full name is Parson and he wrote plays. He mostly wrote comedies, and they were performed around 170 to 160 BC.
Okay, so are we talking about time before or after Plautus? Those of you who... Anybody?
After.
His timeline of his life.
Yeah, we're talking about after, right? Okay, good.
He wrote 6 plays, all of which survived. Terrence is thought to have died at a young age, either at sea on his way back to Rome or in Greece. But he died in Greece on the year 159 BC.
Okay, so we kind of have some conflicting information here, right? Because we don't know exactly where, right?
Terrence has written 6 plays which have all survived. Andria, 166 BC. Hecria, 165 BC. Phormio, 161 BC. Euthymomenus, 163 BC. Eunuchus, 161 BC. And Adelpho, 160 BC.
Okay, and then you've got some translations here, which is always good, right? So that if you can't, pronounce one, you can always talk about the English translation of the title too.
one play wrote by Terrence, and one of the brief synopsis of Hecria, or the mother-in-law. Hicria is a comedy written by Terrence, where the son of the elderly Lacus and wife Sostrata and a young man named Pamphilus. Pamphilus falls in love with the prostitute who is named Bacchus. One night, in a drunken quarry, he decides to debauch or have feelings for a young woman named Philomena, the daughter of Phidippus and Marina.
Okay. And so this is not complete, right? This isn't a
No.
complete synopsis? Okay. All right.
These are just some of his plays, and Terrence plays were refined, then which led him to be slightly less popular at the time where he was hot. There were also a fair share of controversy during his lifetime, as he was accused of commenting the borrowed Greek material that he utilized in his plays.
Okay, so yeah, so they're basically saying that he's contaminating, he's ruining the originals, right? Okay. And then we have a works cited. I'm not sure what we don't have, is this a incomplete works cited, or is it just that bullet point just hanging out?
Yeah, that bullet point was just.
Okay, all right. And then you've got a breakdown here for me of who did what. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, so do you feel like you've got a little bit more information about the playwrights now? Yes? Let me stop my share so I can read the chat. Giselle, try turning off your camera and see if that helps them. So what did you learn that we hadn't talked about before? We hadn't talked about a thorough list, right? What else? Of like their plays, I mean. What else hadn't we talked about yet? Anybody, what'd you learn? Come on. What did you learn that you didn't know before about a playwright? Either one. Either one. What you learned researching or what you learned listening to the presentations. Okay, all right. So we learned that playwright is the person. Okay, good. That's good. You learned about specific plays, right? That's why I had you do a synopsis of a play so that you have a little bit more information about sort of the type of plays that these people were writing and what the content was, right? Anything else? We're looking for context, right? That you know a little bit more about them rather than just their name and. Okay, good job, Vincent. Okay, all right. So you learned the plays and how many were written. Okay, all right. So that's the purpose of these projects, right? Is to give you more information. You're focusing on one playwright specifically, right, for your group, and you're learning more about that person. But then by watching the presentations, you should be getting more information about all of the playwrights, to sort of, again, the VIP playwrights of the time, right? All right. Okay, let's go ahead and, sorry, my lights went out. We're going to get started on Japanese theater. We're not going to finish it today, obviously, right? So, but we will get started. And hopefully I can get the chat to cooperate with me. I don't want to be full screen. I just want to, there we go. Maybe this will be better. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with y'all. And we're going to talk about ancient Japanese theater. And look, I found a cute little theme for us, right? For the actual presentation. All right, so we're not going to spend time doing this right now, but I want you to add this to your journals, okay? This PowerPoint is on Schoology, so you will be able to do that in your own time. So your journal entry is about what audiences expected from ancient Roman theater, okay? All right. So we're going to do a few things. We're going to talk mostly today about Noh, right? And it's spelled, as you can see, N-O-H. So what is it and how has it impacted Japanese drama? We're going to watch a video. This may become your homework, is to watch that video so that we can catch up, and then we'll start, we'll see where we get to as far as you telling me about Noh. And then I'm going to introduce you a little bit to Kabuki and Bunraku, which we will get into much more detail the next time we're together next week. All right. Okay. So Mario, why don't you read this first part for me? So how did Noh begin? Number one, how did it start?
As a sacred dance.
Okay.
Parts of Shintoism, a traditional religion of Japan.
Yes, good. Okay, so we're beginning with Shintoism and a religious ritual. That sounds familiar, right? Okay. All right. Sorry. Vincent, second one.
Buddhism arrives in Japan after the dance already performed.
Right. So Buddhism comes to Japan and they start using dance in a way to teach people about their religion and, sort of using what they were already accustomed to, right? Okay. Ashley, why don't you read about Dengaku?
The field music that may have come from Korea was used in Riko harvest festivals.
Yeah, rice. Sorry, I know it's kind of hard to read. Yeah, so then we have this type of music and dance that comes over from Korea. And it's possible that this had to do with the rice harvest. Does this sound familiar? Right? So we're starting to merge all of these different traditions together. Okay. Zion. Oh, read about our number 4 here.
From China, chorus would speak lines for the character during the dances.
Yes, so we've got now Saragaku, which is coming from China, and we have a chorus, right? And so the characters, when they would get so involved in the dance, they couldn't dance and speak, right? So now the chorus is speaking the lines for the characters. Okay, let's see. How about Let me get my participants list up. That would help. Alejandro, tell us about the first no drama that we have.
Can you repeat that again?
Number 5. Read that one.
Oh, adopted by, how do you say the word?
Buddhist.
Buddhist temples in Japan as a teaching tool.
Right. So they're taking all of these things. They're taking, let me go back. Sorry. They're taking sacred dance. They're taking the tenets of Buddhism. They're taking music and dance from Dengaku, from Korea. They're taking this idea of having a chorus that's speaking lines for the character. And they combine all of that as a teaching tool, again, to sort of help people learn about the Buddhist religion. Are we following the timeline so far? It's a big, like, it's like a buffet, right? Does this remind you, these elements remind you of any periods we've talked about previously? Okay, Torrin says Roman theater. Okay. What else? Where did we start before Rome? We have ritual, we have a chorus, and that started where that we've discussed? Greece, ancient Greece. All right, thank you. Yes. Okay, so now we are sort of beginning to form what we call today as no drama. And it starts with a performer, and he finds favor with a high-ranking shogun general in the late 14th century. So this is a lot later than what we've talked about with Rome and Greece, right? Where were we in time in ancient Rome and ancient Greece? At least primarily. Come on, guys. When did ancient Greek theater start? Ancient Roman theater? You were given some dates today. All right, Vincent says BC. We usually use BCE now, right? Before Common Era, okay? So what does that mean? It was like, we were like 500 to I think like around 180 BCE, okay? Now we're in the 14th century. Okay, so then what does he do? So this performer starts borrowing stories from classical Japanese tales, mythological tales, historical tales, and he takes what they'd been doing in the Buddhist temples and he combines that with these traditional Japanese stories, and he creates a new form of theater, which is no. All right. Okay, let's see. Easton, why don't you read this slide for us? Can you, I don't know, can you read it while you're, yeah, there we go.
Nick Kanyami's son, Jeremy, wrote over 100 plays of no drama. We still have 21 of them, while no plays are only about 10 pages long. They take 30 minutes to 2 hours to perform. Court performance have to include one of every type of no play, and therefore could last up to 8 hours.
Yes. So you could theoretically, it could be 10 pages, right? But take 30 minutes to 2 hours to perform. And you're going to see why in the video. Okay. So if you were at court during this time, a performance of no drama could be as long as 8 hours long. And actually, it was longer than that until they put actually a law into place that said it could only be 8 hours. Okay, so we're going to watch this documentary. Yeah, we're going to watch this, and then I'll give you something else for your homework. We'll change. There was a group project that you're going to do on your own now. Okay, so I want you to watch and take notes on the following: what kind of stage they use and what they talk about, how its significance, the masks, the stories, and the acting style. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the chat. All right, let me make sure my computer sound is on.
The oldest form of traditional theater is Noh, with a history stretching back some 600 years. This is the stage on which Noh plays are performed. The painting of the pine tree indicates that this play will be set in the world of the spirits. Old pines, such as this one, are regarded as sacred places where a person is as likely to encounter the spiritual forces of nature as they might in a temple or shrine. Supported by 4 pillars, the Noh stage is constructed so that a roof is visible to the audience. Since the actor's vision is restricted by a mask, he must rely on the pillars to orient himself on stage. In Noh theater, nothing is allowed to separate the audience from the stage, not even a curtain.
That's kind of different, right? Nothing is allowed to separate the audience and the stage.
The actors make their stage entrances from a long bridge-like passageway. The music of the Noh theater consists of a chorus of chanters, which carries the melody, and 4 instruments, which provide the rhythmic accompaniment. In this scene, an elderly woman living deep in the mountains is complaining of her long, lonely life. Noh is sometimes referred to as the art of walking. This unusual theatrical convention is a minimalist expression of the energy the actor keeps hidden behind the mask. The thick costume creates a strong linear profile, de-emphasizing the physical presence of the actor. men in the background are hermits traveling through the mountains who have been given permission to spend the night at the woman's house. Many people wonder why No continues the ancient tradition of wearing masks. When skillfully used, masks can be an extremely dramatic form of expression. In No theater, the volatile expressions of the living actor's face are replaced by the external expression on the mask. Through his disciplined movements, the actor suggests the spirit, animating the personality of the role he is playing. The old woman leaves the hermits alone in her home as she goes to collect firewood on the hillside, admonishing them not to look into the next room. However, one of the hermits violates this prohibition and looks in. There he is astonished to find a pile of corpses. The self reflected in the mask and the ordinary everyday self of the modern actor are brought into alignment until they become indistinguishable. The old woman whose true identity has been exposed is transformed into a terrifying, vengeful spirit. Here, she returns to wreak vengeance on the hermits, her anger stirring up a storm. However, confronted by the spiritual goodness of the hermits, the woman's demonic power weakens. In the end, she is forced to leave, vanishing into the night storm. The art of No has been refined over the course of several centuries. It has been passed on by the traditional method of father to son. At present, the family, which has the oldest continuous tradition of No acting, goes back a full 56 generations, or some 600 years, to the earliest period of the art. Throughout all Japanese arts, there are masters who, through a complex network of submasters, can count more than 10,000 students, all of which are members of one artistic family.
Okay, so talk about the stage, and I gave you some notes in the chat just for those of you who, for those of you who were reading it. So what did we see about the stage here? Yeah, it is a thrust, Vincent. You're right, and yeah, Navi, it's a pretty large stage. What do we have visible to the audience? Okay, Zion, the audience and the stage isn't separated. We have what on top? A roof, okay, and what's the roof supported by? 4 pillars, right? Okay, yes, okay. Now she says that there's that painting right in the back. And so it's an old pine, which tells the audience that it's going to be a story about people interacting with the spirits, right? Okay. Now remember I said that some of these are more historical and then some of them are more sort of spiritual, okay? So what about the mask? So it's an old lady and then we have our chorus, right? So she's wearing a mask and then we have our chorus and they don't wear masks, right? But who is the old lady really? Yes, Mario, that's right. A spirit, okay? She's like a demonic spirit, right? So she changes, the actor, a male, changes into that sort of scary mask, right? And comes back out, okay? What about the acting style? I gave you a little bit about this in the chat. How do you become a no actor? Yeah, right, Vincent. Yes, it's passed down, okay? Yeah, you have to be born into it, born into the family or somehow related, right? And yes, you can see with that, son, it's pretty early on, right? That they start their training. Okay. Yeah, Ashley, exactly. All right. Okay. So I'm going to give you a link to this play that I want you to read, and we will talk about it the next time. Giselle, that's okay. We'll talk about it the next time we are all together. Okay, so let me stop sharing and I'll post the link in Schoology as well. Okay, but I want you to read it and think about how this is different than what we've talked about with plays before. Okay. So I'm going to put it in the chat, but I'm also going to put it in Schoology. So I want your homework is to read this and sort of think about how it compares to what we've discussed with plays like this before. We've discussed a lot of like analyzing plot, right? This is going to be very different from that. Okay? So next time we're going to talk about Bunraku and Kabuki. Okay? So I do want you to watch the Crash Course Theater number 23. And this is also in Schoology in the PowerPoint. Okay. So I want you to watch that just to prep for next time. So you just have to read this play. It's not very long and it does give you some, it's written to help you, okay? And watch. How do I get this thing to, how did I do that? There we go. Let me share my screen again. So read that play. You're gonna watch Crash Course Theater number 23, just so that you've already got some information about what we're gonna talk about next time, okay? And here is your exit ticket for today. So post this in Schoology. What did you find the most interesting about what we discussed today with no? Questions? So use the PowerPoint in Schoology to help you. So watch the crash course and read that little PDF, and I'm going to post that PDF in just a second in Google or in Schoology as well, so you can grab it from there. Questions, concerns? What did you think? Pretty interesting, huh? Definitely different from anything we've talked about prior to this. All right, everyone, it is 9:30, so I'm going to let you go. Finish the exit ticket later. Make sure that you watch that video, and I will post the PDF on Schoology as well, okay? And I will talk to you next Monday. So you got some time to do this homework. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Goodbye. See ya.